So again, maybe we can take a few moments to focus on the breath. Once our mind is settled down, quiet, then we can think. Even though the life seems long, but it can be very short. That we have experienced and seen many of our own family members, friends, colleagues, relatives, and others who have passed away. And many of them, they didn't expect to die, nor do we expect them to die in that year, that month, that week, that day. But suddenly, the time came and they passed away. And many of those who pass away, they are not necessarily reached their age. They are not so old. And some of them were also not very sick. Some of them quite healthy. But life is very unpredictable. That could come anytime, any moment, regardless of your age. Regardless of your health situation, you can come to anyone, anytime. Therefore, there is no guarantee that we will live, 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. There is no even guarantee that we will live 5 more years or even 1 year. Therefore, whatever lifespan remaining there is in our life, we want to make it useful, meaningful. So that when the life does come to end, we have less guilt, less regret, less struggle, less pain. And the way to make our life meaningful with a higher purpose is to really engage in Dharma practice. That is all the things that truly help and benefit us while we are alive, at the time of death, and after the death. If there's something that can help us all this different time, it's only the Dharma. Not only the Dharma, the practice of Dharma can help us. Also, with that Dharma practice, we will be able to be more benefit and help to others. And we will create less problem, less trouble, less pain and suffering to others. Therefore, I must give more time, energy, and effort towards my Dharma practice. Not only Dharma practice, but the bodhisattva practice. And one of the bodhisattva practice is to engage in the incredible, vast aspirations, prayer dedications, such as the King of the Prayers, aspirations. And in order to engage in those practice better, that I'm going to study on that. Not only study, trying to put into practice as much as possible. And the purpose of engaging both sadhava's path and practice is in order to liberate all sentient beings without exceptions from all their suffering and cause of suffering permanently. And to lead them to true ultimate happiness, or fully awakened state. And to do that, I must achieve fully enlightened state myself as soon as possible. And to achieve that fully awakened state, I must enter the bodhisattva path and engage in all the bodhisattvas practice, such as the 10 perfections or the 10 paramitas, and other practices such as 4 means of gathering the desirable sentient beings and ripening them. And to engage in all these different practices, I must continue to learn those practices, and therefore I'm going to listen. Not only listen, but from listening, whatever I find helpful, beneficial, that I'm going to apply and integrate as much as possible in my everyday life. Okay. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chedan Sogi Chonam La Changju Patu Dane Kapuch Nagi Geshe Gibe Sonam Ki Dola Kenje Sangye Duva Sangye Chedan Sogi Chonam La Changju Patu Dane Kapuch Nagi Geshe Gibe Sonam Ki Dola Kenje Sangye Duva. So again, welcome everyone again for the last sessions of the King of the Prayer. And of course, there are many outline and sub-outline of this practice, dedication prayers. But in general, there is a preliminary, the 7-limb practice to start, and then the actual bodhisattva's inspiration and practice on different level of bodhisattva path. And then at the end, the benefit of generating such aspirations, engaging such inspirations, and engaging such prayer and dedications. And in that, then, there was the benefit of such aspirations that one experience in this life and in the futures. So we are on the section where the benefit of in the futures, and that there's two, then explaining from the point of view of the cause and the result. And cause we finished before, and in the result, I think the page number 10, page number 10, and the last verses of 10, page number 10. Where it says, going quickly to the noble Bodhi tree and sitting there to benefit sentient beings, subduing all the interfering forces, they will fully awaken and turn the great wheel of Dharma. So any beings who engage in this practice of the Bodhisattva's aspirations as the heart practice, heart practice in their life as the main practice, and heart practice, those aspirations that we have mentioned, all different Bodhisattva aspiration that we have gone through. Someone who take that as the heart practice and in their life, then quickly through such engaging such aspiration, then they will quickly make progress on the path, Bodhisattva path. As they make quickly progress on the Bodhisattva path, in order to benefit and liberate all sentient beings, then they will sit under the Bodhi trees, in the meditations, and by relying on the the concentration known as Vajra-like concentrations, through that concentration, Vajra-like concentration, then with that concentrations, then it will overcome all the maras or interfering forces. And we talk about those maras or interfering forces before, 4 types, the interfering maras of beings, interfering maras of the dead, interfering maras of the contaminated aggregate, and interfering maras of the afflictive emotions, So through that concentrations, Vajra-like concentration at the 10 bhumi, by relying on that concentrations, meditations, then one will overcome all these maras and all these obscurations. And through that obscurations, by subduing and overcoming obscuration, then one will achieve fully awakened state, Buddhahood, under that Bodhi trees, just like Buddha Shakyamuni did. Just like Buddha Shakyamuni did, all these practitioners who take this practice as the heart practice, all this inspiration, and so then they will achieve that Buddhahood, fully awakened state. And then once they have achieved fully awakened state, then they will start to share their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience, which they have actualized, that they have achieved by turning the great wheel of Dharma. So that is the benefit from the result point of view, by having engaged in all these bodhisattvas' great, vast aspirations, then eventually one will quickly achieve under the Bodhi trees, then one will overcome all this interference, all these obscurations, in order to, with the motivation, in order to liberate all sentient beings and benefit sentient beings, and then achieve enlightenment. And the purpose of achieving the enlightenment is not to bliss out in the, in that nirvana, is not them to bliss out, but the very purpose of achieving fully enlightenment is to help and benefit sentient beings. That is the main reason to achieve enlightenment. And so how can once you achieve fully enlightened, how can you help and benefit sentient beings? And then as Buddha himself said in one of the sutta, he said, I cannot take sentient beings' pain, just like if you have been pricked by a needle or thorn, when you have pain from that, and if someone helped to take that thorn away, then pain is gone. So he cannot take away our pain like that. If he can take pain like that, he would have already done for us. Nobody will be experiencing the pain anymore in samsara. He would have already done that if he has the power to do that, if he has the ability to do that. So Buddha said, I cannot take the sentient being suffering like that. Nor I can wash your negative karma and the delusions like that we can wash our dirt by taking a shower. If he can do that, then he would have already purified all our negative karma, all our obscurations, and we wouldn't have negative karma, obscuration anymore. We wouldn't be under the control. So he said, I cannot take your suffering like that, nor I can wash the negative karma and the delusion, obscuring light, nor I can pass my spiritual realizations like that, someone can pass the cup to you, I can pass my cup to you. In same way, Buddha said, I cannot pass my spiritual realizations to sentient beings like that. If that is the case, he would have already passed that. So if he cannot do then how can Buddha help? Then he said, I cannot do all of that, but I can help the sentient being by showing the path. By showing the path, how to free themselves from all the root of those suffering, the contaminated negative karma, contaminated karma, and delusion, obscurations. By overcoming all these obscurations, then they can free from all the sufferings, and they can achieve fully the highest level of ultimate happiness. And Buddha said, I can show that with my direct experience, because I have done myself, gone through that, and with that direct experience, then I can show you path, how to reach there, how to achieve that. And that is how I can help. That is how I can benefit. And in another sutta, Buddha said, I can show you path to liberation. Whether you achieve liberation or not is now up to you. I will show you how to do it, but whether you achieve liberation or not is up to you, the follower, the practitioners. And in some example, they give, the doctor might be able to diagnose your problem, exactly what the problem is, and they might have the prescription exactly how to fix their problems, the right cure, the right treatment. But if you don't take the cure, if you don't take the medicine, the treatment, then there's nothing the doctor can do about it. It's up to you. Even though there can be a doctor who diagnose your problem unmistakably, correctly, exactly what problem is, and not only diagnose the problem correctly, exactly, but also to be able to prescribe the right cure, treatment. But they cannot force you. Individually, you have to take those cure, medicine, whatever. And only then when you do that, you can be cured of that. And so that is same, the Buddha also gave example, similar. That is, and so therefore, as Lama Tsongkhapa mentioned in his praise to the dependent arisings, praise to Buddha Shakyamuni through the dependent arisings, he said Buddha has shown many great deeds. Normally they are such as 12 great deeds, Among all those great deeds, noble great deeds, the deed of turning the wheel of Dharma is the supreme one, as Lama Tsongkhapa said. And it's true, because how we are receiving the benefit from the Buddha now is because of that. Because he turned the wheel of Dharma, so he shared all his knowledge, wisdom, experience, and we have the opportunity to study and learn about them and apply that, and thereby have a transformations. And that is what, because if he hasn't turned the wheel of Dharma, then we don't get really much benefit from all others. From his miracles, maybe at the time of his time, those people who observed the miracle, maybe they might have benefited from that, but not us who were not there. And then many other deeds that he was able to help benefit at that time. But what continued not only benefited people at his time, but even now, after more than 2,600 years, the sentient beings continue to receive inspirations and help, benefit, and that is from his teachings. And the teaching is still there because he turned the wheel of Dharma, or taught give the teachings. So that is where. Okay. And then the next is, there are 5 benefits, of residing, such as residing the king of the prayer and so forth, king of the prayer, such as reciting, etc., and reciting, memorizing, sharing with others, encouraging, inspiring others, writing it, producing or printing it, and so forth, of those king of prayers, the benefit of that. First benefit here, in terms of summarizing the benefit. Have no doubt that complete enlightenment is fully been resolved, comprehended only by the Buddha, of holding in mind by teachings, reading, or reciting this inspiration of bodhisattva practice. So this inspiration of bodhisattva practice is the king of the prayers. This king of the prayer, anyone who holds in their mind, without any doubt, with a full faith in those teachings, and then through that, whether one is memorizing it, whether one is reciting, whether one is reading it, whether one is teaching it to others, whether one is inspiring, encouraging others to recite, whether one is reflecting on the meaning of those prayers, dedications, whether one is, writing it yourself or printing it and so forth, the benefit, is unimaginable. The benefit is unimaginable, the fully ripened result, the fully ripened result or the complete ripening result of such reciting and so forth is beyond the imaginations and understanding of ordinary beings. Not only ordinary beings, even the arhat cannot fully apprehend that. Not only the arhat, even the bodhisattvas, and not only the bodhisattvas, even the highly realized bodhisattvas cannot completely apprehend the benefit, full complete result, ripening result. It is the only Buddha who can fully apprehend all the vast, great benefit of such. So that is what it means. It's fully ripened result, comprehended only by the Buddhas. Not even forget about ordinary being like us. Even the arhat cannot fully comprehend. Not only arhat, even the Buddhas and then bodhisattvas, even the Arya bodhisattva cannot fully comprehend that. They can comprehend a little bit, but not fully. And it is only the Buddha who can fully comprehend that. And as I was sharing last week, as it is mentioned in the Vajrakhata Sutta, similarly, reciting the Vajrakhata Sutta, the benefit Buddha said, I'm not going to explain all of them. If I explain all of them, you will not be able to apprehend it, and your mind can become like disturbed, crazy, And so he said he's only going to explain only a little bit of benefit of that, not the full everything's. So that is what it means also here, only the Buddha can comprehend. Because when we cannot comprehend fully, then that is when our mind started to become like crazy, spin, around, started to have all these kind of all different thoughts, what are they talking about here, And the reason why our mind is spinning so much is because we cannot comprehend that, And so that is so they said therefore, it is advice for us when we engage in such bodhisattva practice, aspirations, bodhisattva prayers, dedication, and so forth, that we should engage into such practice without two-minded, without doubt, but with a full confidence and with full faith in those practice, prayers, dedications. Okay. And second is dedicating, all the virtues that we have created, especially dedicating the virtues of reciting and this king of the prayer to be able to follow the great bodhisattvas, to be able to follow the path of the bodhisattvas, like bodhisattvas, to follow and to become like themselves. So here, the second verse in that page number 11. This is 11. Yeah. In order to train, just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality as it is. So, the hero, Manjushri, normally the bodhisattvas are known as the hero, true heroes. As Shantideva mentioned in, I think, Guys of Bodhisattva Life, these are the true heroes. The bodhisattvas are true heroes. Normally the hero that we worship and, like those who kill your enemies, those heroes that we call ordinary heroes, who defended the countries, who killed the enemies, Chandeva says, those are not true heroes, The enemy will die even if you don't kill after some time, You don't have to kill them. They will die one day anyway, when the time comes. But those are the heroes who are able to defeat, their selfish attitudes and the ignorance and the delusion, obscurations, and who dedicate their life for the well-being of sentient beings. Not only who have dedicated their life for the well-being of sentient beings, dedicating their life even for those enemies who harm them. Even those enemies who harm them, instead of trying to harm them back, but actually dedicating your life to help and benefit them. Those are the true heroes. Those are the true brave heroes. And so such as all those bodhisattvas are the great hero, And so here, such as Manjushri, and also Manjushri as, here in the form of bodhisattvas, and known for the wisdom, among all the 8 bodhisattvas, or about all the bodhisattvas, Manjushri, known for his wisdom, and who knows reality as it is, because, through his Manjushri, who understands the reality directly, and through that wisdom, realizing the reality or the ultimate reality, the emptiness, who is able to cut, very root of all those afflictive emotions, And also, just like Samantabhadra, Bodhisattva Samantabhadra as well. And as mentioned before, Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is known for his skillful means. Manjushri for the wisdom, known for wisdom, and Samantabhadra known for his skillful means. So again, skillful means in known for his skillful means in making offerings, skillful means in dedication, prayers, skillful means in helping benefiting sentient beings. So Samantabhadra is known for that. And so therefore, those 2 bodhisattvas' names are taken here, but actually it includes all other, the 8 bodhisattvas and all other bodhisattvas. As I mentioned before, the 8 bodhisattvas, here too, and then, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, Siddhigarbha, Agashgarbha, Maitreya, and then Tipanamsel. Tipanamsel. I don't remember the Sanskrit Tipanamsel. So anyway, those 8. So such as all these bodhisattvas. As well, I completely dedicate all this goodness or all the positive potential or virtue that we have created by reciting the King of Prayer to follow the path and train into the bodhisattva path just as they did, just like they did. So dedicating all these virtues, all these positive potentials, merit to be able to train in the bodhisattva path just like all these bodhisattvas did, and to become like them, and to become like them, and to be able to train like them, and to be able to be benefit to others like them. So that is dedicating. And the next one, third one is, to dedicate, to follow and become like the Tathagatas, not only the bodhisattvas, now dedicating all these virtues, all this to follow the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, and become like themselves. With the dedications, which is praised, as greatest by all the Buddhas, gone to the freedom or to enlightenment in 3 times, past, present, futures. All the Buddhas of 10 directions who have gone to the freedom in the 3 times, and all the prayer, incredible, greatest prayer and dedication made by those Buddhas, great, incredible, vast, and extensive prayers, dedication, inspiration that Buddha made. I too dedicate all my root of goodness, virtues, merit, positive potential for the attainment of bodhisattva's practice. Just like those Buddhas, to be able to, to engage in bodhisattva path and the practice, and to become fully enlightenment, and to be able to follow like the fully enlightenment. So that is so. So it is dedicating to the cause to achieve fully enlightenment, and then follow the. This is like, His Holiness shared stories, of there is a holy temple in Tibet, in Lhasa, Cho Temple. That is one of the most holy temple in Tibet, where it is hosting one of the most holy sacred statues that came from India to China, and from China to Tibet when the King Songtsen married the princess from China. That statue is there. That is the main. Of course, there are many others, but so anyway, Cho Temple, and there is a story. One time someone went to pay a visit to the temples, and he didn't know how to pray so much, dedicate and pray so much. And then next to that, while he was, paying respect, homage, making offerings, and trying to dedicate and pray and dedicate, but he didn't know how to do properly. And next to it, he saw one elderly lady who was doing very extensive prayer dedications, wonderful, long, wonderful dedications and prayers. And then he said, he dedicated, my all dedication prayer, just like that old woman. So it included everything that all the dedication prayer she made, very extensive detail in that. And he said, may all I dedicate all these virtues to the same as all the dedication made by these elderly ladies, So it is similar like here. That is what we are doing. We cannot remember and cannot go with such all the incredible, vast, extensive dedication prayer made by the bodhisattvas that has been greatly praised by all the Buddhas, and all that so far we went through incredible dedication, inspiration, prayers of the bodhisattvas. And so in short, we just kind of summarize and say, may all my dedication be same as all the dedication made by them, That is, I too dedicate all my root for the attainment of bodhisattva, just like all of them, And in this, in commentaries, it mentioned, these two verses, these two verses that we just went through. It kind of summarized all the bodhisattvas' dedication prayers. It kind of summarized, even though it doesn't go one by one, each of those dedication, each of those prayers, each of those aspiration one by one, but it includes all great, vast dedication inspirations. So when you don't have time to do much more extensive dedication, then you can do that, just these two, And just like that man did with the elderly lady, uh, he didn't know how to do it. He didn't have time. He didn't know how to do, so then he just dedicated. It made my dedication same as how all the dedications he made, So that is same, May all through the all the merit, positive karma that we have created, may all be same as just as all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have made, dedications as all they have made. And in this commentary, it explained. I didn't see any kind of commentary by Shantideva, but here it says Shantideva mentioned that all the Bodhisattvas' prayer dedication contained within these two verses. And next one is, dedicating, to purify and cleanse all the obscurations, and to be able to have a special, conducive, special birth to engage into the path and the Dharma practice. So here, that one is next two lines, next two verses. When the moment of my death arrives, by eliminating all the obscurations, so dedicating when the time comes, when the moment comes at the time of death, may all the, obscurations, may all the, so there are kind of obscuration of defilements, obscuration of the karma, such as, engaging in, 5 unended karma and so forth, all other negative karma and obscuration of karma, and then, the obscuration of ripening, which is that the obscuration to have a direct realization of emptiness in this very lifetime, to become an Arya in this very lifetime. So, when the time comes, at the time of the man, all these different obscurations, including the subtle obscuration, obscure knowledge, may all that be eliminated, may all this be purified and cleansed. And not only those obscurations being cleansed and purified, also at that time, and also may I be able to directly perceive the Amitabha, Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light. And by perceiving or by seeing the Amitabha directly at that time, may I go immediately to Sukhavati, the pure land of the great joy. The Sukhavati, the pure land of the great joy, is the pure land of the Amitabha Buddha. The Western Pure Land. So Western Pure Land, not America, okay? So in Tibetan, Amitabha is Obame. Nupchok, Obame. Nupchok is like Western, Western, because that's in terms of direction, Western. And then, and the name of the Amitabha in Tibetan, We Pakme, We means the light, Pakme means infinite, Obame. So when the Obama was, because the name is similar, Obama and Obama, So, and then there is a joke Tibetan makes, the Obama's Pure Land, Western Pure Land. So that is the America, So, but not that one, I don't know whether that is the place to be, make a prayer to be born or to run away. So that is Amitabha Pure Land. Now we're coming to that, I think last time Sneha asked questions about Buddha's land and Pure Land, and I wasn't 100% completely sure differences. And as I research a little bit more, I find those two different. This our world where the Buddha Shakyamuni appear is the Buddha land, but it's not a pure land. And because it's the Buddha land, because it's the land where Buddha appear in the form of Nirmanakaya, Nirmanakaya in Buddha's own form. Buddhas can come in very ordinary form, but Buddha Shakyamuni coming in as in Buddha's own form in a Nirmanakaya with all the major and minor marks of enlightenment, Sometimes Buddha can manifest without all this mark, like as ordinary animals. Without all this mark can come as another human beings or as an animal or in other different form without all these Buddha's full enlightened marks and that. But when Buddha comes in the world, whether in Sambhogakaya or Nirmanakaya, that in a full Buddha's form with all the minor and major mark of enlightenment, then that place become the Buddha's place, But it is not as I mentioned before, it's not a pure land. In a pure land, there's no physical suffering, there's no mental sufferings. The being in there doesn't mean the being there are fully enlightened. Their being are still not, they are also just like our world, there can be many different levels of being in their practitioners, Arya beings, Arya bodhisattvas, Arya beings. Then those who are on the path, in bodhisattva path, but who are not Arya. And there are also other more ordinary beings who are not even in really into the bodhisattva path, but due to having created certain positive karma and connections, then they are born there, but they don't have the suffering, physical suffering, mental sufferings, nor they will be born in the lower realms, by the karma, Of course, by choice with compassion they can born bodhisattvas, with a choice and by compassion they can be born from pure land to lower rebirth, and that is by choice and by compassions. But nobody is born in the lower rebirth after you have born in pure land by the power of the karma without your choice and compassions, So those, and of course, as I mentioned, there's a long descriptions of the pure land, and by Lama Tsongkhapa and many others. There's Pure Land Sutra, you can find quite detailed in those sutra as well, the description of what the Pure Lands look like, So that is to be born in Pure Land, okay, Sukhavati. And then having gone to the Sukhavati, Amitabha Pure Land, may I actualize meaning of those inspirations, the bodhisattva inspirations, So the purpose of being Pure Land is not just to bliss out because there's no sufferings, and then you just go to the beach and lay down all day and night, walk around the beach, listen to the birds singing, listen to the waterfalls, look to the beautiful flowers, It's not just kind of hanging out there just like that, The very purpose of being born is to continue your path, And so therefore, here is making the dedication prayer, not only to be born there, once I'm born there, may I actualize meaning of all these inspirations, all these bodhisattva inspirations that we have gone through earlier, all those, especially those 10 inspirations where they can be kind of contents in that, and fulfill them without exceptions, and to be able to carry on all these great inspirations, without leaving them, one of those inspirations, without exception, to fulfill all of them, all the incredible bodhisattva inspirations without exceptions, for the benefit of beings for as long as this world endures, in order to help benefit sentient beings as long as this world endures. And so it is similar like the Shantidevas prayers, as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And similar also Nagarjuna's in his Precious Garland, similar dedication prayers, practice. Even if I achieve enlightenment, until I liberated each and every sentient beings, may I never leave samsara, and may I continue to be in samsara. So those prayers, dedications, practice very similar. And so here, as long as this world endures, as long as the samsara exists, as long as the sentient beings remain, may I too remain to benefit all sentient beings by fulfilling all these bodhisattva inspirations, carrying out all those inspirations. In order to carry and fulfill the well-being, temporary well-being of sentient beings, as well as the ultimate well-being of all sentient beings, the fully enlightenment. And next one is dedicating, to receive the predictions, from the Amitabha Buddha, the predictions to become fully enlightened yourself, and to work for the benefit of all sentient beings. Those two next two verses. Born from an extremely beautiful superlative lotus, so the sentient beings who are born in the Pure Land, they are not born from the mother's womb, nor they are born from the eggs, nor they are born from the heat, So there are four kind of, when sentient beings take birth, there are four ways of taking it. One is through the mother's womb, such we see in human beings, also animals, and other beings. Some of them take birth through the eggs, like we see animals. And then also some through the moisture and heat, like some insect, you can see in other beings. And then there are some other beings who take a birth. In Tibetan, the rudul means kind of manifestations without any of those trees, automatically. So that is here. You are born from the lotus. You are born from the lotus, not from the womb, not from the egg, not from the moisture and heat, but from the lotus. Also, Pema Sambhao is known as also born from the lotus. So, but anyway, the Pure Land, the beings who are born in Pure Land are those. So therefore, that is where born from an extremely beautiful superlative lotus in this joyful Pure Land, and that joyful Pure Land, Sukhavati, the joyful Pure Land of Amitabha, the Buddha's manifest mandala, and that is the Buddha's world, Buddha's mandala, Buddha's place, So being born in that Buddha's mandala and Pure Land in that from the lotus, may I receive predictions, Then Amitabha putting in by having actualized all these inspirations, the bodhisattva aspiration, by actualizing all those bodhisattva aspiration in order to fulfill all the wishes and well-being of sentient beings. And then slowly as you make progress, and then finally, as you receive ten bhumi, then the Amitabha Buddhas seeing, it's a time for you to fully ripen, fully awaken, then putting your hand, Amitabha hand on your head, and then predictions of your enlightenment, May I receive the predictions of my awakening, fully awakening directly from the Buddha Amitabha, and there, by not only prediction, by blessing, predicting, empowering, and then, eventually you are able to achieve Buddhahood. Having received the prediction there in that Amitabha Pure Land, Sukhavati, may I create a vast benefit, May I create a vast benefit, creating, the vast collections of the merit and the wisdom, and then engaging into those great bodhisattva practice, such as 10 perfection and so forth, for beings and to help and benefits sentient beings, for beings throughout the 10 directions, not only those who are in the Pure Land, but those who are also in the ordinary worlds where there is so much pain and sufferings, and with a billion emanation by the power of the wisdom, and through the power of the wisdom, and especially concentrations, that you are, through those concentration, you are able to manifest billions of your bodies, and by manifesting those billions of the bodies, you are able to travel to the billions of Buddha's field, And by being able to travel to the billions of Buddhas field in 1 second with all those billions of bodies simultaneously, and as we mentioned before, then making homage to all the Buddhas, or billions of Buddhas field to all those Buddhas, making great vast offerings, prostrations, and so forth, through that, creating vast merit, virtues, and receiving the teachings, as well as, sending those billions of manifestations or emanations to other worlds, in world, ordinary world, not a pure land, but ordinary worlds, and then, helping benefit sentient beings through your incredible wisdom and bodhicitta mind, and with a skillful means, by the power of the wisdom and the bodhicitta mind and skillful means to help benefit sentient beings. Here the commentary says, it seems there are many actually. I haven't seen any of those commentary, but like from these commentaries, which was written by one of Mongolian great masters, and direct disciple of Changyal Rinpoche Doje, one of the great Tibetan masters, because it seems he seems to mention from different, Shandriava said this and this, and in that he said also there must be a, not the Dharma Kidi, but his master, Choklang.
Dignaga?
Dignaga, yeah. And the author here may say, even in Dignada's commentary, this verse is not there. These last two verses in Dignada's verses. So it must means Dignada's has a commentary on that. But even though it's not Dignada's verses, but there is in Shakya Shengen's, and the Indian master, in his verses is there, even though translation is slightly different. And so it seems, I would one day like to see if I can find those different commentary by those earlier Indian Nalanda masters. But I haven't been able to, I haven't come encounter so far. So anyway, what it means, the next two is, through even the small virtues I've accumulated, whatever virtues, even very tiny, by offering this prayer the bodhisattvas practice, the king of prayer, may all the positive inspirations of the being be fulfilled in an instant, May all the positive aspirations, positive wishes, prayers of all sentient beings being fulfilled, not only being fulfilled, may they all be fulfilled in an instant, So again, I think it is important to have these positive aspirations, because sometimes people can have a negative aspirations, and we don't pray for all those negative aspirations to be fulfilled, because those aspirations might be something to hurt and harm others, And so therefore sometime in dedication we make, may all sentient beings wishes be fulfilled according to Dharma. That's where it comes. We, instead of saying may all sentient beings wishes be fulfilled, because different sentient beings have different wishes. Some of those wishes are not necessarily good wishes, positive. So then when we pray and dedicate, normally, may all sentient beings wishes be fulfilled according to the Dharma. Here, that is what here, positive aspiration. May all the positive aspiration beings be fulfilled in an instant. So that's where the positive comes play, not all the aspiration, because some might have not great aspirations. And so again, it's one way of, again, kind of summarizing this. Through creating limitless positive potentials, all the, virtues merit, by dedicating this prayer of Samantabhadra deeds, or the Samantabhadra's prayers, aspirations, may all beings drowning in this torrent of suffering enter the presence of Amitabha. So dedicating for all sentient beings who are experiencing three sufferings, suffering of pain, suffering of change, suffering of all pervasive, any of those 6 realms, may all of them, enter in the presence of Amitabha in those pure land, Amitabha's pure land of Sukhavati. So I'm dedicating, praying to be born in a Amitabha pure land Sukhavati, so nobody have to experience suffering and pain anymore. And pure land is not part of any of the 6 realms of samsara, is separate from the 6 realms. And then the last one, the author here said the last verses, he says it's not part of actually this from the sutra, but it is the dedication made by the translators. That is according to this author, okay? Through this king of aspirations, which is the greatest of the sublime, greatest of all the aspirations, all the prayer, all the dedication, the supreme dedications, and it is supreme because is this king of the prayer is actually, coming from the Buddha himself directly. And so there is great blessing in that. It's it's coming from the sutra, it's coming directly from the Buddha, therefore, it has great blessings. Also, it's a supreme because, as we mentioned, it contained all the incredible vast and extensive bodhisattvas aspirations, prayer and dedications, helping infinite wanderers in the samsara, helping countless infinite sentient beings who are wandering in samsara due to their karma and the delusions, and thereby experiences some suffering while in samsara. Through accomplishment of these scriptures, dealing with the Samantabhadra practice, aspiration, dedication, may suffering realms be utterly empty of all beings. So dedicating to all the sufferings. Realms of 6 realms, especially the 3 lower realms, to be utterly empty of all these beings And when there is no more those beings, then there is no more of those realm, the need of those the realm as well, and so that is the dedication. Thus, extraordinary aspiration and practice Samantabhadra, also known as the King of the Prayer, from the Gandhabhya chapter of Abhatamka Sutra, is complete. Translated by Jina Mitra, Sudan Bodhi, and Ishide. This Tibetan will compare with the Sanskrit and revise the Loza of Virajana. So again, one of the things, if you read any of the Tibetan scriptures that has been translated from the Indian, you always see at least there's two translators, one Indian and one Tibetan. Here, Jina Mitra, Surendra Bodhi, those are Indians. Ishide is the Tibetans. And also later who revised is Loza Virajana, also Tibetan. And that was one of the rules the king made at that time to make it more so that when there is two translators, Indian translator who know Tibetan very well and Tibetan translator who knows Sanskrit very well. So in terms of knowing the material, they all know the material very well, but they come from different cultures so that there is no misinterpretations or mistranslated due to not understanding the culture context, so that it doesn't get missed in the translations, or loose in the translations. And I think that is why the Tibetan translation is one of the most, from what I heard, one of the most closer and accurate, like when they translate from Tibetan to Sanskrit, and then when they go to the original Sanskrit, then they come almost same, With English, I don't think you can do it in many other languages, once it's translated in English and then you translate that in Sanskrit and then compare with the original one, it can come out very differently. Okay, so that is the completions of these sessions on King of Prayers. So thank you everyone for joining. I don't know if you have any questions. If there's any questions, you are most welcome.
And you can just unmute yourself if you have a question. Amy, you have a question?
About Tibetan names. Do they have any relevance to this, to the bodhisattva path, or to, is there any relation in that regard? Because they're often, Tibetan names are often like what we would aspire to become.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if there's any connection here with the bodhisattva, with the ultimate path, or how to look at it.
Well, definitely sometime when the teachers give name, in some cases, a high level of teachers who have hired, maybe they might see certain potential in that students and they might give name according to those potentials, or maybe the quality that they possess, inner quality that they might possess, or the potential they have to possess, so the name might be, but also sometimes the name is just like a lottery, They will
Right.
they will come with many names and then they just pick one and they just pass one by one. So it's not always necessarily that they completely read your mind, completely read all your potentials and then they're giving name on the basis. Is it possible certain teachers of very highly realized beings who have that kind of ability, but it's not necessarily the same with all the teachers. Some teachers, they just a collection of names which are related with the practice, and not always. Sometimes you get the name of the dead stars, Nima, Dawa,
Right.
Ingmar, Lakpa, Pulpu, Pasang, this Pemba, this all the name of each of the stars of the days, and sometimes they give those names if you are born in that particular day or that, My grandfather, who was a village lama from my mom's side, he was the village lama, and he gave me a Dawa Punso when I was born, because I was born on Monday, so Dawa can be moon as well as a Monday, So sometimes also through name, sometimes depending on which day you are born, sometimes that, there is possible that but we shouldn't take it so seriously, those names.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. If you get a good name, you shouldn't think, oh, I must be something special. If you get a not so great name, you shouldn't think, oh, I must be not so great or horrible or whatever, it's just a name.
Thanks. Yeah.
Any others?
Oh, I have another question. Is that,
Yeah.
and I don't know whether this is exactly related, but it's come up for me a lot, and it's that it seems when studying emptiness that a lots of feeling of compassion comes. And so I just wondered if you could speak about that a little bit.
Well, if someone is studying, practicing, meditating on both bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, and as well as the wisdom, then definitely, as one meditate on more emptiness, one as understand the emptiness in the term of dependent arising and so forth, then definitely, the compassion can increase, so definitely there is a relation between those two. The more you understand, the nature of dependent arising in relation to the emptiness, the more you understand how we all are interconnected, interrelated, how our well-being, our happiness is depending on others, and all of that, the more you have understanding, the more you have deeper understanding of that, the more you can feel compassion and connected with others, the more you can feel compassion to that. So definitely, it is possible. I don't remember which sutra, but in one of the sutras, Buddha give this image of, example, an image of the emptiness being like the mother's womb, and compassion, the child born out of that mother's womb. So in that, is the compassion arising from the emptiness, from the understanding of emptiness. And then some people might take that as a very literally, but again, it's in certain context, like an arhat, or those who are on the training to become an arhat, even though they have realization of emptiness, not only have realization of emptiness, they have direct realization of emptiness, but they don't have same level of great compassion as the bodhisattvas. So that emptiness, realized emptiness, doesn't give naturally to the great compassions. It's not for everyone automatically like that. What differentiates between the bodhisattva and non-bodhisattvas is whether you have the great compassion or not. The great compassions. If someone has great compassion, then that is where you become the Mahayanas. Your Mahayanas, what you call Rig lineage is awakening, and then that gives rise to the bodhicitta mind. And so that doesn't always, but I think the Buddha's image and example is that someone who is on the training in the bodhisattva path, who is training not only emptiness, but who is also training to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, great compassion, all sentient being bodhicitta. While they are training in both that, and when you have realization in emptiness, while you are training on both, then that realization in emptiness can give rise to, it's like then giving more moisture and more energy to your compassion to arise and to arise more strongly. And so, yeah, so that's all I can.
Thank you. Thanks.
Geshe, may I ask a question? Oh, sorry, Heather, you had a question?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to make sure to have a chance to express my gratitude. I don't have an office hours appointment, and I really appreciate these teachings. They were very impactful for me, and I want to make sure to express my gratitude before we all part.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Nia?
Oh, Geshe, at the bottom of page 11, the last line, I had a question on that verse, where it says, having received a prediction there, may I create vast benefit for being, with 1 billion emanations by the power of wisdom. And then I thought, why is the power of wisdom? Why isn't it like the power of bodhicitta?
Well, sometimes the power of the wisdom, sometimes it is just example of that. As you see, sometimes even like when they were saying someone about the Manjushri, even they are taking 2 bodhisattvas, but it doesn't mean just 2 of them, all the 8 bodhisattvas and more. And sometimes they might take just 1 qualities, but that doesn't mean mostly the main cause of to be able to emanate millions and billions of that is through certain concentrations, power of the concentrations. The intention, the motivation can be bodhicitta mind. The intention and the motivations to manifest billions of life or of billions of body and to help and benefit and to do that all. But what really make it possible to be able to do that is a certain concentrations, certain type of concentrations that could through the karma abiding and wisdom, that is developed through karma abiding and wisdom. Just as Adisha mentioned in Light of the Path or the Lamb of the Path, when he explained the reason to develop karma abidings, is so that by depending on karma abidings and then with the wisdom as insight as well, then one is able to achieve, one can achieve such as clairvoyance and others psychic powers, such as to be able to emanate many bodies. And that give you the tools to be more benefit and help more sentient beings, So I think that the bodhicitta can be the motivation, but what really makes it to be able to do that is those other qualities. So it could be that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we end our session, Geshe, with prayer, with the dedication prayers?
Yes, we can do that. Would you like to recite, Snail?
Sure. May all beings so this is Shantideva's prayer, selected verses from chapter 10 of Bodhicharyavatara. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored in finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the fallen find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from the ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining and for your patience. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Geshe.
Geshe.
Thank you.
Everybody can unmute if you like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.